Madagascar.
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 Madagascar
is in a serious situation. What's going on?
People in Madagascar have poured onto the streets of the capital to protest electricity and water outages. The power cuts often leave homes and businesses without electricity for over 12 hours each day in one of the poorest countries in the world. They are the largest demonstrations the island nation has seen in years. Inspired by Gen Z protests in Kenya, Nepal and Peru, demonstrators blame the government of President Rajoelina for not improving conditions since he was re-elected in 2023.
Young protesters in Madagascar have said that they are going to continue their fight to get the president to resign. The President Andry Rajoelina is the sitting president of Madagascar, and the youth revolt there are demanding that he resign. They have roundly rejected his choice to dissolve the government and fire the energy minister. So let's talk about what's going on. 22 people were killed and 100 people were injured during these last rounds of demonstrations. Most of the fighting and conflict occurred in the capital, Antananarivo. Unrest broke out last week on the 25th of September when local councillors were arrested for protesting against water and electricity outages in that capital. The youth-led protest quickly spread to other towns and cities, fueled by social media and other Gen Z uprisings around the world, particularly the ones that we're seeing now in Nepal, in Morocco. Their governments were toppled. So we gotta ask ourselves, what's going on exactly? Madagascar's 2025 uprising cannot be understood without looking at the country's chronic economic fragility. Over 75% of Malagasy people, 75% of the entire island lives on less than $2.15 per day, making it one of the poorest nations in the world despite its vast natural resources. The state collects only about 11% of the country's entire GDP from tax revenue. That's the lowest in the entire continent of Africa. It also means that it leaves public services like water and electricity severely underfunded. Nearly 9 in 10 jobs are in the informal sector. So this means that people are setting up in little, makeshift restaurants or sheds or just, very informal market settings and buying and selling with basically no level of taxation whatsoever. Agriculture employs more than 70% of the workforce, and the entire country's healthcare system is incredibly underfunded. And more incomes are more unstable and vulnerable to shocks than ever before. Climate disasters compound these weaknesses. Recurring droughts in the south and frequent cyclones have left over 2 million people facing food insecurity in recent years. And against this backdrop, even modest increases in prices or service disruptions hit Malagasy households with extraordinary force. In recent years, these structural weaknesses collided with sharp stocks that fueled anger on the streets. And you're seeing the result of that now. The entire island's economy shrank by almost 10% as a result of the pandemic. And since then, it has not been able to remake those losses in the years since. So it's been 5 years since the pandemic. Recovery has been incredibly slow. Inflation has hovered above 10% since 2022, with staples like rice and cooking oil seeing price hikes of 20 to 30% in markets. In the capital city, chronic blackouts and water shortages became the immediate trigger. Households lost refrigeration, businesses couldn't operate, and daily life basically ground to a halt. For a generation of young people already facing 13% unemployment, this means disaster. These conditions reinforced a sense that the government was incapable of providing even basic stability. The uprising then was really less about a single event than about decades of economic neglect finally reaching a breaking point. But what caused all of this on the day it happened? These protests were sparked by persistent power and water outages in Antananarivo. Homes and businesses were reportedly going without electricity for more than 12 hours a day, and water supply was similarly inconsistent. But these utility failures were not a new thing. They were built up over months or years. But last week, these outages grew especially severe, in part due to both mismanagement of the national utility provider and environmental climate pressure. Low water at the dams meant less power production during the dry season. So people organized and decided to march. The initial marches were organized to protest water and electricity interruptions. Protesters carried placards, many demanding water and electricity as basic human rights. As the protesters planned gathering at a central location, they were blocked by security forces. There are reports that police used tear gas and rubber bullets to disperse parts of the crowd. That use of force appears to have been one of the first flashpoints in the devolution of this situation. Simultaneously, protesters began erecting barricades using tires and rocks in the streets. Some protesters also attacked infrastructure like stations of the new cable car system and began looting shops, banks, and appliance stores. Homes of politicians close to the president were attacked in several places. The government responded by declaring a curfew between 7 p.m. and 5 a.m. In Antananarivo, both police and military forces were mobilized to the streets, and the use of force by security forces escalated the situation. And now, while the government is dissolved, a larger conflict could be brewing. And now this is happening all over the world. In Nepal, where these youth movements began, they're a source of inspiration for many of these others that seem to be popping off right now. In Morocco, young people who make up, in some cases, almost half the population of these countries are rising up to demand better. I just made a video about Morocco and this situation. Click here to watch that video and find out what's going on there. Over the last several years, I spent most of my time traveling Africa and throughout the developing world.
Today I venture into the streets of Freetown, a city that was once battalioned off 30 years ago from the attacks of rebel forces, child soldiers, and a brutal civil war that ravaged the country for 10 years.
During those travels, I've met people in interviews, the sites I've seen. I've always had a strong feeling that something like this was going to come, and it seems to have finally arrived. I'd love to hear from other experts in the region. I'd love to hear from other Madagascar citizens. If you're watching this video, please leave a comment. Tell me what you think is going on. If you're living in one of these countries, I'd like to hear about your personal experiences. Please leave them in the comments below. So please like and subscribe. Go check out my previous videos about Madagascar in the link below. And just know that this is a larger political and economic grievance that has gone out of hand. This is something that had been brewing in many of these countries for a very long time. Madagascar is a fantastic place with untold beauty, and you can see some of that beauty in some of my previous videos. But good luck to everyone in Madagascar now. If you're watching this and you are a part of the protest, good luck to you. Please leave a comment below. Let us know how you're doing. Let us know your experiences. I'm very curious to find out more. Thanks for watching. This is Jody Ray for Where Jody At, reporting from Sierra Leone, West Africa. See you.